Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi discusses Ukraine crisis with Russia's President Vladimir Putin over phone, reviews the progress in the bilateral ties. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins, with the country's election commission notifying the first phase of general election. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaches Saudi Arabia on his 6th visit to West Asia to push for a Gaza ceasefire deal and release of hostages. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a telephonic conversation on Wednesday. PM Modi congratulated President Putin on his re-election. The two leaders agreed to make concerted efforts to further strengthening the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries in the years to come. Both leaders also reviewed progress in bilateral cooperation and also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. While discussing the Russia-Ukraine conflict, PM Modi reiterated India's consistent position in favor of dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward. The two leaders agreed to remain in touch. India's Prime Minister Modi attended the country's largest and first of its kind startup event called Startup Mahak in New Delhi on Wednesday. PM Modi said that India's startup ecosystem is flourishing at an unprecedented pace. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Startup Mahakumbh 2024, where innovation meets opportunity and entrepreneurship thrives. In this journey of discovery, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the entrepreneurs and stakeholders, heralding India's remarkable strides in the world of startups. PM hailed India's startup journey.
आज जब देश 2047 के विकसित भारत के रोड मैप पर काम कर रहा है, अब हम भारत में इनोवेशन और स्टार्टअप कल्चर का ट्रेंड लगातार बढ़ता हुआ देख रहे हैं.
The Startup Mahakumbh, held at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, has ignited a fire of creativity and collaboration with its resounding theme of Bharat Innovates. PM Modi said that India has more than 1.25 lakh startups, 110 unicorns.
देश ने स्टार्टअप इंडिया अभियान के तहत इनोवेटिव आइडियाज को एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया, उनको फंडिंग के सोर्स से कनेक्ट किया. हमारा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम सिर्फ बड़े मेट्रो शहर तक सीमित नहीं है. ये देश के 600 से अधिक जिलों तक पहुंच चुका है. इसका मतलब है ये एक सामाजिक कल्चर बन गया है.
From deep tech to agri-tech, biotech to medtech, AI to gaming, the confluence of stakeholders and experts promises to propel emerging sectors to new heights. PM Modi also stressed on the 1 lakh crore fund announced for the research and innovation in interim budget that will help sunrise sectors. India's startup ecosystem not limited to metro cities. It has now become a social culture. With over 2,000 startups, 1,000 plus investors and 100 plus unicorns, the Startup Mahakumbh is India's largest and first of its kind startup extravaganza.
The Startup Mahakumbh is designed to foster innovation and entrepreneurship across India, focusing on the government's agenda to boost emerging sectors such as deep tech, agri-tech, biotech, medtech and AI. The integration of an aspirational India with the startup sector will propel India's economy during the Amrit Kal and make India a developed nation by 2047. With camera person Vicky, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
A startup, Autocracy Machineries' Santoshi Buddhiraju, says initiatives taken by the Indian government are immensely helping the micro startups by providing seed fund.
Manufacturing is a very capital intensive market. Imagine me making such machines and all at an R&D and a prototype stage. The amount of money that would have got will be spent into it. We spend all the money, but when the startup grant has come in, it was very, very helpful. Another dream what Modi ji has been talking about is make in India for India and for the world. I think we are a living example for both, like I said, for SISFS and the other grants, what Atal Innovation Mission has been doing, what DPIIT has been promoting and bringing us with an encounter with all the industries that are there and helping me. You will not believe a 2.5, 3-year-old startup is standing here proudly exporting the machine to Middle East and Africa. And I think that is our story. And I think I can say that is a success story. Wouldn't have been possible if it is not for Government of India.
Dharaksha Eco Solutions provides sustainable solutions for packaging material. It has developed a process for converting stubble waste into useful biodegradable packaging. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has more.
When you buy a product, you get it packed or you find it in a thermocol packaging. But have you ever wondered what happened to that particular thermocol once you take out the product? Because the thermocol is not a biodegradable stuff. So what happens to that and what are the alternatives that can come if we don't use thermocol? Dharaksha is a company which is providing eco solution. Tell us more about that. What's your name?
So my name is Rudransh Garg and we are building Dharaksha Eco Solutions. Dharaksha Eco Solutions literally means Dhara means Dharti, that is earth. Raksha means saving. So we are literally translated to saving the world from the problem of pollution. Now, as we were mentioning, thermocol takes 2000 years not to degrade, but to break into smaller carbon particles. That doesn't degrade at all. And even the very first piece of thermocol that was ever created in the world is still somewhere lying in the ocean water body, landfill or somewhere else. So coming back to what the solution that we are providing, it's a very simple solution. Everyone has heard about the stubble burning. So what we are doing, we are using that exact stubble waste, parali or we call as agri waste, that too of paddy, which has of no use, which is purely burnt. We are using that to create a biomaterial, which is a replacement to thermocol, foam, styrofoam, all the other kinds of plastics that you get in your packaging.
This is the packaging that you can see. They have made it as per industry norms and you can package it and you can use it and replace it with thermocol. That's a cool way to change the way we work and it's sustainable and at the same time environmental friendly. With camera person Vicky, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Startup Mahak in Delhi.
All right, let's now get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic election. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins Wednesday with the Election Commission of India issuing the notification for the first phase of election. Voting for 102 Lok Sabha constituencies across 17 states and 4 union territories will take place on 19th April. The last date for filing of nominations is 27th March. 39 seats of Tamil Nadu, 12 seats of Rajasthan, 8 of Uttar Pradesh, 6 of Madhya Pradesh, 5 seats each in Uttarakhand, Assam and Maharashtra, 4 seats of Bihar, 3 seats of West Bengal, 2 seats each in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Meghalaya, and 1 seat each in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Jammu and Kashmir, Lakshadweep and Puducherry will go to the polls in the first phase. The 2024 election will be conducted in 7 phases, with the final phase scheduled for 1st of June. The counting of votes will take place on the 4th of June. To some other stories on the elections in India, in Tamil Nadu, the AIA-DMK party released its first list of 16 candidates. In the AIA-DMK alliance, the DMK is to contest on 5 seats, the SDPI on 1 seat, and the Pudiya Tamilagam on 1 seat. This according to AIA-DMK General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu's ruling DMK party released its manifesto on Wednesday. It promised not to implement the Citizenship Amendment Act or Uniform Civil Code and to provide subsidies for LPG and petroleum products. The event was attended by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, DMK parliamentarian Kanimuri and other party leaders. The party also announced its first list of candidates for the general election. Now, 2 days after resigning from the posts of Telangana Governor and Puducherry Lieutenant Governor, Tamilisai Soundararajan rejoined the Bharatiya Janata Party. Soundararajan had contested the 2019 Parliament election from Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu on a BJP ticket, but lost to DMK's Kanimuri. She was the second governor of Telangana, a state formed in 2014, and the first woman to hold that post in the state. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has decided to limit misinformation in view of the parliamentary election in India. The company is working on removing voter interference and enhanced transparency and accountability across its platforms to support a free and fair election. Meta said that 40,000 people are working globally on safety and security, with more than $20 billion invested in teams and technology in this area since 2016. 15,000 content reviewers are put on duty to review content across Facebook, Instagram and Threads in more than 70 languages, including 20 Indian languages. The company said that it is applying the methods developed during the course of lessons learned in hundreds of elections around the world. Moving on, the Reserve Bank of India's monthly bulletin highlighted the state of the Indian economy and said that India can sustain a GDP growth of 8%, fueled by a conducive macroeconomic configuration, which can further the country's growth trajectory. The RBI also highlighted that the global economy is losing steam and some of the most resilient economies are seeing a slowdown in growth. High-frequency indicators such as further moderation in the near future. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar addressed the third Summit for Democracy via a video link. Democracy for Future Generations is a theme of the summit hosted by Seoul, South Korea. The minister said that under India's constitution, every citizen, regardless of his or her background, enjoys equal rights and opportunities.
The Indian Constitution, a beacon of pluralism and inclusivity, stands as a testament to the confidence of the Founding Fathers to create a nation where every citizen, regardless of the background, enjoys equal rights and opportunities. The spirit of debate, discourse, and consensus building that pervaded our historical past continues to breathe life into our democratic institutions.
The minister highlighted certain other key features of India's democracy. He spoke about the importance of women's participation in India's electoral process.
By reserving seats for women in local bodies, we today have 1.4 million women, or the largest cohort of elected women representatives at the grassroots level in any part of the world. Our recent decision to extend 33% reservation for women in both parliament and state legislatures recognizes the fundamental principle that women's voices are indispensable in shaping the nation's destiny.
And still to come on DD India Live. Israel's military kills 90 terrorists at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, arrests 160 for questioning. Tensions in Haiti continue to escalate amid increased attacks by gangs. And Taiwan warns of Chinese military bases built on 3 islands in the South China Sea.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. 12 miners were killed and 8 rescued after an explosion in a coal mine in southwestern Pakistan, officials said on Wednesday. Provincial Disaster Management Authority says that teams recovered 12 bodies and that survivors had been taken to hospital. The province's chief inspector of mines said 20 miners had been inside the mine when a methane gas explosion took place overnight. Mine workers have complained that a lack of safety gear and poor working conditions are the key causes of frequent accidents. Air raid sirens blare almost daily in the southern Russian city of Belgorod, prompting residents to seek shelter. Belgorod, situated 40 kilometers north of the border, stands out as a notable exception, underscoring that not every civilian can be shielded from the repercussions of conflict. Russia has been evacuating children from a border region because of continued Ukrainian shelling. The children are being moved from the Belgorod region farther east, away from the Ukraine border. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed a strong response to the recent shelling of Russia's Belgorod region.
The primary task is to ensure security. There are different ways. They are not easy, but we will do it. I have already spoken about it. I do not want to go into details in this festive surroundings, but we will continue working on it. We can respond with the exact same things, civilian infrastructures and all the similar targets that the enemy is striking.
Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has promised continued military support to Ukraine. He said that the allies will step up delivery of urgently needed weapons and ammunition to Ukraine. The White House is finding ways to send assistance to Ukraine as Republican House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson has refused to call a vote on a bill that would provide $60 billion more for Ukraine. Austin is leading the monthly meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, where around 50 defense ministers and senior officials are taking part. In recent weeks, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has appealed to the Western allies for more support.
So when we invest in Ukraine's security, we invest in our own security. And we strengthen this contact group's shared vision of an open world of rules and rights and responsibilities. Today, Ukraine's survival is in danger, and America's security is at risk. And they don't have a day to waste, and we don't have a day to spare either.
And shifting focus to West Asia now, Israel's military on Wednesday said it killed 90 terrorists at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital and also arrested 160 terrorists for questioning. Israel said that the raid at Gaza's largest medical facility was based on intelligence that it was again being used by terrorists. In northern Gaza, an IDF aircraft struck an operational Hamas tunnel shaft, while in southern Gaza, security forces eliminated 3 terrorists and struck terror sites during operations in Khan Yunis. Israeli forces also eliminated 6 terrorists in Jabalia. And DD India's Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
As far as we are aware, it is continuing. The military has issued this operational update, calling it a precise and targeted operation, saying that these officers, these troops that are inside this hospital, are doing everything they can to prevent harm to the patients, the doctors, and also the equipment. What we do need to remember is this is the largest medical facility in the Gaza Strip. It has been raided a number of other times. It is now semi-operational after being taken out of action, as were many of these hospitals inside the Gaza Strip. But it's also the place where many displaced people have been sheltering. We do understand some 3,000 internally displaced Palestinians were seeking shelter inside this hospital, and they are detailing absolute chaos. Many of these people say that they were detained for hours. They were then forced to take their clothes off, and before they could leave, they were told to put their clothes back on and then move to safer zones further down in the south. Now, the military says it is acting on intelligence that Hamas operatives were working inside this hospital and may still be in there. But at this stage, Ollie, the military has not provided any credible information that actually backs these claims up. But what it is important to add is that hospitals are protected under international law, especially during times of war, but this is then voided if it is found that it is being used by the enemy to potentially launch an attack. So certainly a very worrying situation at Al-Shifa, just given the sheer number of injuries in the Strip and how little there is to treat these people.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, marking his 6th visit to West Asia since the Israel-Hamas conflict. The top U.S. diplomat is scheduled to meet Saudi leaders in Jeddah and Egyptian leaders in Cairo to push for a Gaza ceasefire. Blinken will focus on efforts to deliver more aid into Gaza during talks with the Saudi leaders. Talks on a truce brokered by Egypt and Qatar are resuming this week in Doha. Moving on, tensions in Haiti continue to escalate amid increased attacks by gangs. On Tuesday, an alleged gang leader, Ezequiel Alexandre, who escaped from Port-au-Prince prison recently, called on his supporters to take back control of the Carrefour neighborhood. The neighborhood was lost to an enemy gang after his arrest in June 2022. Alexandre was arrested on alleged involvement in murder, illegal possession of firearms, rape, and armed robbery. In news from the Indo-Pacific now, Taiwan has warned of Chinese military bases built on 3 islands surrounding Taiwan's main holding in the South China Sea. Taiwan's foreign minister on Wednesday said that China has built enormous military bases surrounding Taiwan's main holding in the area. However, the minister said that Taipei is not looking to further escalate tensions in this strategic waterway. China has carried out extensive land reclamation in the South China Sea, building military sites and causing major concern in the US and around the world. And staying in the region, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi called on Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra on Wednesday. The last time a Chinese foreign minister visited Australia was in 2017. The two countries are rebuilding their ties after a period of strained relations. Beijing responded by imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Australian commodity imports, most of which have been lifted since a change of government in Canberra 2 years ago. In sports news, the Afghanistan Cricket Board expressed its disappointment over Cricket Australia's decision to postpone yet another bilateral series against Afghanistan and reiterated its stance on neutral and politics-free cricket across the globe. Cricket Australia on Tuesday had announced the postponement of the series, saying that it would continue to engage with the Afghanistan Cricket Board in anticipation of improved conditions for women and girls in the country. In a statement, the ACB said, and I quote, "ACB advocates for keeping cricket distinct from political influence, considering the game's significance in Afghanistan and its connection to the happiness and joy of the Afghan nation." ACB acknowledges the pressures faced by Cricket Australia from the Australian government and emphasizes on the importance of addressing such issues through collaborative efforts between the two cricket boards. The ACB also urges the Australian government not to impose its policies on cricket boards and instead focus on supporting the development of cricket across regions, unquote. As per the latest statement released by the International Olympic Committee, Russians and Belarusians will not be able to take part in the parade of athletes at the opening ceremony of the upcoming Paris 24 Olympics, which is scheduled to take place in the month of July. The Russians and Belarusians will be competing as individual neutral athletes under a specially created flag and with an anthem without lyrics produced by the IOC will not be a part of that parade. Athletes from the two countries who qualify for the Games will be competing as independents without their flags or anthems. The IOC suspended the Russian Olympic Committee in October for recognizing regional Olympic councils for Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine such as Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson and Zaporizhia. Earlier on Tuesday, the IOC criticized Russia's plans to host their own Friendship Games later in 2024, saying that it was politicizing sport and violating the Olympic Charter. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.